we're going to take a look at the Buffalo AirStation and configuring the DynDNS service with it. Dynamic DNS is each time that your modem pulls an IP address from your internet service provider, it's going to be given an IP address, and it does that on a lease basis. Some leases are 5 minutes, and it could be set by the internet service provider. Some are generally they are about a day. So you might get about 24-hour lease. Then it would try to get rid of that IP address and give it out to someone else. Now what will happen is your MAC address, each time it'll ask, are you still there? Would you like the same IP address? And if it responds yes, it'll get an IP address again. It'll get the same one. So often on some, if you don't have too many brownouts or power outages, and if your modem never really goes down, then you could have your same IP address for years. So this is generally going to be good for somebody who maybe they have a lot of brownouts or power outages, or their modem is a little bit flaky and it kind of goes out and it'll get a new IP address, or their internet service provider simply has a very short lease time and the modem doesn't respond, so it gives out another one, then the modem has to ask for a new IP address. What this is going to do is we're going to have it configured where our router is going to look at what the modem says the IP address is from the internet service provider, and it's going to send that information to Dynamic DNS service. This way, you only have to remember the same host name and Dynamic DNS name each time, and it'll always get updated with the newest IP address from your router. Now, it's not in real time because Dynamic DNS asks people to stagger and not hit them with all kinds of requests all the time. However, you can set that interval period of how many days and you want it to send new information. So first thing you want to do is log into your router. The default IP address is 192.168.11.1. Default username is admin. Default password is password. Let's go straight to advanced settings and then internet and dynamic DNS. Now when you're here, you're going to see it's going to list your ISP's current IP address, and it'll list what your domain is, the status, and you can use the drop down for the services. So we're going to use DynDNS. Now once we go into the DynDNS, we need to go into the actual DynDNS service. Now that we're in the DynDNS service, just log in. You're going to probably have to have a DynDNS Pro account. Once you're in here, you can add a new host name. Now our router is only going to function with one host name. It will only update one. So what we'll want to do is make one. We'll associate it with this IP address, and then we'll be set. That's all we're going to have to do in this portion. So I'll add a new host name. Now you can choose any of their DynDNS has a whole bunch of available domains. I generally like to just choose something that's pretty short. So I'm going to go ahead and just name that AS for AirStation. A lot of these might be taken. They have other customers, so AS might not be available. And then we'll just click here and it'll add the current IP address in. This is actually accurate. This is, if you're not configuring this portion from where your router is, then this IP address might not be the same. We'll put that in here. And the first time, this is actually going to just configure it. This is all we have to do. That one was actually taken, so let's do AirS. And there we go. So now airs.mine.new is successfully activated, and it already has the IP address. So we're going to take that information, and we're going to break down what the actual host name is, because our service only wants the host name, as we could have many available here. The host name is the portion that I just created and manually typed myself. The mine.new is the domain name, so this is the fully qualified domain name. And so we have airs.mine.new, and it's pointing there. Okay, so now we'll go back to the router, and we'll just put in our username, the DynDNS username, and we'll put in the password, and then the host name. So it's just the airs in this case. Now you can set this interval to update every 7 days. If you know your service only lasts 3 to 5, then you might adjust that. I'm just going to go ahead and leave mine at 7, and we'll hit apply. After it gets back, you'll see that it has status confirming. You can refresh this. You might even wait a little bit. It'll go ahead every 7 days, log into the account, update the AIRS host name with whatever its current WAN IP address is, so that way if something happens, then it'll be able to pull it out. One way that you can confirm this yourself is just by copying and pasting, and just go to that domain yourself. So we'll go over to the full one, copy the whole airs.mine.new. I'm currently sitting where my router is, so it's going to re-loop it back to the internal IP address, and which will be my router. Now, if I was external and not in my home and I went to that, it would actually try looking for that domain and something on port 80, since I didn't specify a port. You could always specify a port in the URL, something of that nature, and you might be able to pull up web access or something else that you have port forwarded. Give that a test, and you'll see here that it is working. So therefore, that is a valid domain, and that configuration is done. Thanks for watching.